We're back. All right, back with our Big Hunt Guys podcast. Got Neville, Trail. We got Ryan Lampers here, all hanging out in Vegas heat.
It is so hot.
Yeah, you guys got it's kind of humid today.
Yeah, went out for lunch and it's got to be 105.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler than what it normally is, so you guys should count your blessings.
We've been getting a lot of rain lately, Trail.
I know. We've had a ton in Cedar City too. It's been great.
I just want to remind you guys too, we have a little special promo for anyone who's looking to either sign up for Insider or sign up for our Explorer membership. So sign up for Insider right now, use promo code podcast and get you 50 points to the GOHUNT Gear Shop. That's $50 back. You can buy some gear. And if you want to buy Explorer, standalone maps membership, use promo code podcast, get you 20 points to GOHUNT Gear Shop. So best of both worlds. Get some Insider, do some research, check out maps on Insider. Just want maps with Explorer, win-win.
It's a win-win. We're paying you to sign up. We're literally giving you money to sign up.
Yeah.
Promo code podcast. Get after it.
Use some of those points, get some gear.
That's exactly right, Brady. All right. Hold on. I can hear someone breathing really loud. Make sure we have these things. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Someone's breathing really
It's always
loud.
Trail with his nose.
Mouth breather. Can't help it. I need that surgery. Do you know the one where they go in and clear out your nose? What do they call that? Do you know what I'm talking about? They like drill it out.
Huh.
I need that.
Would you get punched in the nose when you're a kid?
No, I just think I got a narrow nose.
Whoa. Narrow nose.
Yep. I don't know. I don't breathe through my nose real well.
So when you're elk hunting, you can't smell those elk?
No. I can't hear them either. Getting old.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. It's rough, isn't it?
You need all your senses, bud,
I know.
when you're out there. I wonder how many comments we're going to get after watching this YouTube, how Lampers and Brady look the exact same.
Kind of cut from the same cloth, too.
Yeah.
Addicted to mountains, addicted to pain,
All
addicted
the
to mule
above.
deer.
Addicted to mule deer. I agree
Come
with
on.
that. I got him beat in the beard department though right
Yeah.
now a little bit.
And the hair.
You kind of changed it up. Like you went full length out on the sides.
Yeah, I just
Trimmed
trimmed my
it out
hair,
in the
too.
front.
The only reason I cut my hair is my mom came being in June, so I
Gotcha.
think I got to look a little nice.
Does your pack ever get your hair get caught in your pack? Like
Mm-mm.
behind it? What?
Mm-mm.
No way.
That's
Never.
all
When
right.
mine's too
Mine kinda
long.
does.
Now, like, put it on or I take it off, it, like, pulls my hair in the back.
Mine will grab underneath the shoulder straps if I, like, turn really quickly. It'll sometimes pinch right
Well,
there.
usually after a good hunt, if I did it right, like it's already dreaded and it's just like up in a ball up here. This doesn't snag much at that point.
I was pulling off a lot of dreads on that bear hunt earlier.
Yeah. Feels like you did something good in the mountains when you're pulling dreads out of your hair, right?
Yeah.
How about the ticks?
Pull a lot of ticks off, but
You-
they get trapped like right. I don't know about you guys, but like every time I grab a tick, if I don't see it on my clothes, it inevitably it just ends up right at my hairline, right
Yeah.
under that mop of mine. So same spot every time.
You guys were checking each other for ticks, weren't you? Look like a couple monkeys out there. All right, Lampers, get down. Let me look at your head.
Dude, we actually lucked out this year. This was probably, well, for a lot of years, I don't ever remember a year where there was fewer ticks than this year. Like generally we're picking 500, 1,000 ticks off in a few days, just flicking them off, and it was like a handful. Hardly any this year.
Yeah, it
What
wasn't
is
very
that?
much.
It's real easy.
There's got to be some answer to that, right? Some climate issue or some moisture issue.
All we could chalk it up to is cooler weather. We definitely had much lower temps than usual. We weren't getting those 70 to 80 degree days this year. It seemed like rainstorm, cool temps, 50 degrees, rainstorm. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why, but it was definitely a different weather year for spring bear
Yeah.
where we were.
Yeah. Do you ever have them? You ever had them in you? Ticks.
A tick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Lyme disease. Do you worry about that?
It's been a while. So I got Lyme way back before Lyme was cool.
Yeah.
It was.
Everybody's had it now.
Everybody's had it.
It's like COVID.
I was back hunting turkeys in Washington State way back in the day, down by Goldendale in those oaks down there, and just loaded with ticks. And I got bit. Came back. Back then, it was like you didn't see a whole lot of information on Lyme disease. I remember my dad, I think, read it in an old Outdoor Life magazine, like it was just coming onto the scene. And I think I was the 8th case that they documented.
Oh, wow.
So they hit me with a dose of I don't know what, but cleared it out. But I had that classic bullseye, got me right on the belt line,
yeah.
and it was buried and sat there overnight. And yeah, I got it out. I didn't get the head out, but it was a classic bullseye that swole up and all that. And caught it soon, so no effects down the road, fortunately.
Got lucky then. For
Yeah,
sure.
so you don't have any. If you catch it soon enough, it just goes away. Like if you take medicine and stuff. I always thought if you get it, you have it for life.
No, you can knock it out in the early stages,
Nice.
but it does get to a point where I don't know that there's anything that they can really do still that I've heard of that's effective.
That's when you get a tick on you that's like the size like you find on your dog. It's like
Oh, no
nasty.
thanks.
Whoa.
No thanks.
Hasn't kept you from bear hunting though.
No, no. Well, it's interesting because I don't know what changed, but they did used to like bury in me. I used to get them and
Yeah.
try to get them out, carve them out, but I haven't had one bury in me for probably 15 years that actually got in. And I don't know. I mean, we do a lot of tick checks, but we're not that diligent about it. And, you go to bed and, late evening, and there's this whole time, and we sleep in floorless shelters all the time. So there's definitely opportunity for them to probably latch on, but I just feel like I always grab them right before they get to you. Now, I've hunted with guys, and they're always getting kind of dug into a little bit. They catch them quick.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. I don't like ticks.
No.
Like you go out and do a big spring shed hunt, and like that first one that you see on your pant leg, it's like the rest of the day you're hardly at all looking for sheds because you're just constantly looking at your pant legs looking for ticks.
Yeah.
That's why I fully switched over to solid clothes in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a good
crawling
tip.
on you.
Yeah, it's a good tip. You see them a lot better. Your partner sees them on you, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
The stool's what I like. The
Oh, yeah.
glassing stool. So
That
you're not
loo-
actually sitting on the ground.
That illusion of ticks can't climb
Yeah,
aluminum
they just
poles or carbon poles, whatever those are.
Climb up your boots a little bit.
Yeah,
Right
I
on
think
your
they come
ankle.
off. Yeah, they come off of grass and vegetation. They hang out
Yeah.
on the ends of those grass blades, and
They
you
do.
walk by, they just glom onto your pant leg.
Yeah.
When I was right out of college, I took this job. I was doing Mexican spotted owl surveys for like oil and gas development on the Book Cliffs in the spring. So we had these calling stations that we had like lined out with GPSs, and we'd hike into these canyons and we'd sit and do, calling stations all night long. So we would start at like 10 o'clock at night and we'd finish at like 3, 4 in the morning. So like all night you're out hiking in the dark. And I remember we'd strip down in the headlights and we'd just be like 4 dudes standing there naked just picking ticks off of us because you'd have hundreds of them. I mean, they would be everywhere.
Jeez.
No
It
thanks.
Freak me out. Yeah, I don't like ticks.
No thanks.
Yeah, I had a buddy way back when we were doing a lot of turkey hunting, and he had one bury like right smack in the middle of his armpit.
Oof.
And he didn't even know it was there until he was actually starting to, like, the muscle in that area started getting sore. And I mean, it was buried and full and, full tilt. And we had to dig that little puppy out of there and try to get the head off, because that'll be the head popped off, trying to get the
Yeah.
body out. And then sticking a knife in there and trying to root that thing out was not much fun for him.
No, definitely not that fun.
No.
That's about the worst. That's probably not the worst spot, but it's one of the worst spots that you could probably get a tick buried.
Yeah, so you live in Montana now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're from? Washington?
Yep, Washington State. That phone number follows me everywhere.
Washington
Yeah.
State. Small town, big town?
Small town. So, grew up in Snohomish, Washington, little cow town, kind of northeast of Seattle, I guess. And then, after I ended up getting married to my wife, I met up in Alaska. We ended up settling down in the small town of Granite Falls. And Granite, again, is like hour and 10 minutes or something northeast of Seattle, well outside the craziness of King County and all that. But, small town. Definitely grew significantly while we were there, but 20 plus years I lived there.
Yeah. I see on your Instagram you're like posting all these old ass photos of you. I'm like, my God, this guy's hunted everywhere in Washington and killed just about everything there is possible in that state.
Oh, we just lived there a long time. 44 years I spent in that state. So, I spent a lot of time there, and I don't think I'll ever leave Montana at this point. If I did, it'd probably be a state like Wyoming, be the only alternative. But
Yeah, those are the two remaining good states.
So what's Washington like to hunt? Is that because people will call in, right? We obviously cover Washington within our insider platform, and we look at odds and application strategy articles. And I've been through all the rules and regs. typically when people call me up and they say, "Hey, what about Washington? Should I apply in Washington?" I just say no.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
not
a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, is it?
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a tough state.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of the cost to apply up there.
It's huge.
When you put that up against the opportunities that are available versus the cost to essentially apply and go into that system, it just doesn't seem worth it over the long haul.
Right.
But as a resident of Washington, what's hunting like up there?
Yeah, it can be pretty good. Honestly, I think just as and I said for years when folks asked, like, what state, if you could hunt for the rest of your life, is Washington State, just because I knew it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Now my playground is in Montana, so I'm learning it really well as best as that I can. But Washington overall, great state. Starting off with bears, it's real high density bear state. West side, east side. Great opportunities. Now, we all probably know, listeners probably know, Washington isn't too friendly to spring bear hunting anymore. So that's gone away. But honestly, it never really had a lot of opportunities anyway. It was very tough to draw a spring bear tag in Washington over the years. I sure didn't draw very many of them. So a lot of my hunts were in the fall. And one great thing about Washington State is it gives this August 1st opening date to go chase bears. You can grab multiple tags, 2 tags apiece. You can hunt west side, you can hunt east side with those tags, one on each side of the state. So, there's definitely a benefit there. And that's one big upside to hunting the state. On the mule deer front, I was blessed to find areas over the years that always had me on good bucks. It's a really rugged, tough mule deer country state for sure. There's some country in there that's just wild, as wild as you're going to get in anywhere else. Alpine country, elevation you're not above tree line ever. You're looking at 6,000, 7,000, 7,500 is about as high as you get overall, but it produces some great bucks in places that they just grow old and die and never get seen. It's real thick in a lot of them. A lot of winter range bucks never quite make it to the winter range where they have those late tag opportunities. So, it's always going to have giants in there, those big old heavy dark horn bucks that we all look for. So it was really good to me over the years. I could go back and hunt that state for deer for the rest of my life and be perfectly happy. Now, there's definitely more hunters now than there was 10 years ago. We used to feel like we had the backcountry to ourselves, but even with the numbers being where they are now, there's still great opportunities there for chasing bucks, just over-the-counter stuff for residents. Now, if you're looking to apply as a non-resident, like you said, Trail, it's a tough state to even look at. They really don't treat you very good.
Yeah.
I mean, just the application fee in Washington State is like $110, non-refundable by the license, non-refundable by the tag. There's a big money hit to apply for that state. But elk hunting can be great. It's a little bit of a different system there. It's kind of wanky. You pick east side, west side. If you don't draw anything real special on the east side of the state, you are basically hunting cows or spikes. So my answer to that was I just always hunted the west side of the state, which, the coastal bulls and that country, it's pretty easy to get away from folks. It's thick. It is much more, you focus on your calling over there for sure.
Yeah.
It's not a spot and stock area on the coast. But you were able to grab a tag every year, over the counter, hunt, chase big bulls, herd bulls every single year. Whereas if you put in for one of them premium east side tags, if you didn't draw it, you're kind of screwed. Like you couldn't, you had not many opportunities to even go chase a herd bull. So I inevitably just never drew anything, and I just over the countered it west side.
A lot of times makes you a better hunter too, because you're grinding those units.
Yep, keep grinding, keep learning them. You're going to have a tag every year. No, it was great. It treated me really well. I loved my hunting there. Aside from the hunting, I could have done without. It's a busy place. There's a lot of folks.
How'd you get to Montana then?
Oh, my wife finally talked me into it.
Come on,
she's
we
the
got to get
smart
in
one.
Washington. You're like, but no, there's so many big bucks up here.
So you met your wife in Alaska?
Mhm.
Were you living up there?
I was
at that
guiding
time?
up there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was guiding up there. I actually met her the first year I was up there guiding, so I was a newbie. I was like 21 years old or something like that, and somehow she found her way. She grew up in Bozeman. It was a tiny town back then. It wasn't what it is today, and she's trying to get out of Bozeman because it was so small and everybody knew your business.
Right.
And then, she regretted that at a certain point. She went to Seattle. She found that there was this job up in Alaska. They made it sound like this is the most romantic,
Yeah.
she was actually a massage therapist. She just got out of massage therapy school. And there's like these openings for being a massage therapist up at this lodge. She's like, oh man, I get to go see Alaska and out in the wilds and do this thing, make great money. She got there and she really couldn't wait to get out of there. It was like, wasn't for her. You got like 30 dudes, and then there's this hot chick that just hops off the airplane.
Yeah.
Is that how you met her? Is that how you met her? You went in for a massage. You're like, hey,
no,
I'm pretty hot.
No, my go-to was avoid her like the plague, like ignore her.
Yeah.
And
Smart tactic.
yeah, just be quiet and let her come to you, I guess.
Those
Let
other
all the
guys-
other guys make fools of themselves,
Yep.
and
That's right.
eventually it won. It's a good tactic. It won in the end.
How
But
long were you guiding up there for?
7 years.
So
Spent up
you
there.
were living in Alaska for 7 years.
No, it'd be from May to
Okay.
up to October 1st. And then, end of September, mid-September, it's starting to get, your daylight hours are very trimmed down. Cold weather at the end there. So, yeah, we'd start in May undigging pipes, digging through the permafrost, undoing these pipes, letting them thaw out. So prep for all our clients coming in, and then just work it all through all 5 species of salmon, from even pike in there, grayling, rainbows, fly out fishing, and all these tributaries to the big lakes. It was great. And then from there, that opportunity came for going to Alaska, or from Alaska to Russia. So I went over to Russia and spent a couple of years over there guiding on the Kamchatka Peninsula.
Right.
And so it was steelhead fishing on the western side of Kamchatka, and then we would rainbow fish and kunja and all the other things on the east side. So Sea of Ohotsk, catching steelhead coming in from that side, and then we're on the
So
the
you
other
were
side.
fishing a shit ton.
Mhm.
I thought you were talking about like you were guiding like hunting stuff, but you were fishing.
Fishing. It was for fishing.
Damn.
Yep.
Basically up
Mostly.
there just living the dream.
Yeah. But
I
I
did-
met
I
my
did-
wife that first year, and we ended up, getting married a couple years into our relationship, and she held down the fort, and I kept living that life for a while, as long as I could, and I really enjoyed it. I got to see a lot in that time.
Did you ever do any hunting up there when you were guiding fish?
Just ptarmigan and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We had a lot of clients come in the late season, and we'd get them moose and caribou and things like that. But I never had a tag in my pocket. I was never
Dang.
able to get a tag in my pocket. So now it was most of those hunts were hunting off the river. We had float trips, we had jet boats to go up and down this really long river system. So it was pretty cool. That was the Katmai area up there. Everything off of Bristol Bay, all the way up to those Kukaklik and Nonvonik lakes and Iliamna and that whole area up there. It's pretty neat.
Have you been back since to hunt
I haven't.
Alaska?
Nope.
No, any desire?
I'm heading up this year.
Oh, nice.
Yep, going up this year,
Moose
September,
or-
moose and caribou.
All right,
Nice.
on
There
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
combo.
We're doing a big trip. Me and my buddy Chaim and Chris Tobias, who lives up there. And we're all just grabbing a couple rafts and big old long float, and got a handful of tags. So we're going to spend 2.5 weeks up there chasing them this year. A little bit of fishing, but we got a lot of tags to fill.
Yeah.
You can bring
So-
a bow, rifle.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do both. Just because we are able to get multiple tags. So the
Yeah.
caribou is going to be a lot of fun. I think that'll be a fun challenge with the bow. And I know I saw your guys' film on when you guys went up and did it. And that was exciting.
Yeah, we
That
got
was
we
a
got we
great
got
trip.
lucky on those 2 stocks. They were bedded just in the perfect spot. When we first got there, we're like, holy shit. How are we gonna do this with a bow? Just on the flat tundra?
You did it. You
Yeah.
did it. You guys did it.
They're pretty curious. I mean, they're
Mm-hmm.
a little like an antelope, you know. They won't just run straight away. But I mean, like that 100-yard mark is kind of like, yeah, I don't think I wanted you to come any closer. You know,
Yeah.
they'll turn and run, but they are a curious animal for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man.
Yeah, I'm
That's
excited.
exciting.
I've never, been able to chase moose or caribou myself. So yeah, I'm really excited
Yeah.
for it.
Hope you've been hitting the squat rack. The back is strong.
The back is strong. Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
man, they're so big. Those moose are giant.
I know, no doubt. That is
Shoot
the
them
one
near the
thing.
river.
Yeah, the kid we're going, Chris Tobias. He's a resident up there, and he's a stud. Kid's real
Yeah.
strong, real fit.
Hardy.
Yeah, and so, yeah, we got our work cut out, no doubt. Just
Yeah.
because we're he's gonna have 3 tags, I'll have 3 tags.
Right.
Kyle will have a tag or 2. So that's a
Oh,
lot of animals.
you guys are gonna do some meat chopping and hauling on that one.
Yeah, a lot of meat. Hopefully, a lot of meat hauls.
Is that your first hunt of the year? Like,
Nope. Actually, taking advantage of some bear hunting prior to that. So I'm
Gotcha.
gonna go try to fill some fall bear tags.
man, you love that bear hunting.
He's
Oh,
addicted
man,
to it.
We love.
Is
the
it your
bear
favorite?
hunt. Meat
Like,
wise?
I mean, if you had to pick between, you're a big mule deer guy, right? I know
Mhm.
that. So if you one or the other, bear or mule deer.
Oh, mule deer's always on the top. It's the top. That's the top of the heap, no doubt about it. I mean, I think we should all agree on that, Neville.
I'm not sure if we do, but I
Trails
appreciate,
and
I
elk guy.
appreciate the sentiment.
Oh, are you an elk? Okay, we're 50-50. But it goes. This is how it should go.
Yeah.
And me and Brady both agree. We've had discussions about this. It's mule deer first,
Okay.
like way out in front,
No,
and
no question.
no question. And then you got big, giant, age class bears,
Yep.
and then you got elk somewhere down the line,
Gotcha.
and then
I
you
agree.
you go through like the whole gamut of antelope and
Right.
jackrabbits and porcupines, and then whitetail somewhere way down below.
way
whitetail.
down there. Why would you want to hunt whitetails when you got mule deer, man?
Exactly. I don't know.
You just want to go sit in a stand? I mean, come on.
Mm.
Neville enjoys that.
I'm getting the itch again. I've been whitetail hunting in a long time, 5 years. I grew up in Iowa, so I was
Oh yeah.
hunting whitetail all the time. But just this year, I think Trail's been getting in my head. He keeps telling me, he's like, dude, whitetail hunting, man, I really want to do it. I
Yeah,
want
I
to shoot
do.
a big whitetail buck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, damn, I do miss
I do have the itch. Yeah.
sitting in a stand.
I went on this Wisconsin whitetail hunt and shot this little buck, and then which was cool. But like probably one of the neatest things is we took it to a meat processor because I was just there for 5 days. So we ran it out to a meat processor, and the guy opened his back, the back to take the buck in, and I bet he had, I don't know, 100. It was so many deer, just of all shapes and sizes, trophy bucks to right down to like the buck I shot. But I mean, I could have walked around there and just like looked at antlers for the rest of the day. But just like there's so many of them, and it's just like kind of an icon. That nice basket, whitetail buck. I just really have a bad itch right now to shoot a nice whitetail. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it about mule deer hunting that you like so much? Are you the same as Brady? Like you just like how tough it is finding a big old mule deer?
I think it's the hardest animal to take.
Oh, yeah.
Mature. If trying to get a mature old age class mule deer, I just don't think it gets much tougher than that. They're few and far between, right? And I guess the cliche is it's where they take you. I've said that before, and I've heard a lot of people say that. But it truly is. Like it puts you in some incredible places. Now elk does as well, and bear does put you into those places as well. But I always find that I always feel like I'm looking down on everything from the top when I'm looking for those old crusty mule deer bucks. So I think just the whole chess match of trying to locate one, and when you do, like doing whatever it takes to try to put your tag on one is pretty tough. It's really tough.
What's your kind of style? Do you do any steel hunting, or you like sit in glass as long as you can, or maybe like a mix of both? Do you have like a preferred style?
Definitely glassing. Brady and I are probably very similar. We will sit on a perch and just glass our eyeballs off until it doesn't make sense anymore. But grabbing those good vantages that offer up the most country, or strategically, if you've seen a buck, whatever's going to give you the most strategic place to sit and try to relocate that buck, that's just where it's at for me. I haven't steel hunted in a long time, stomping through timber as slow as you can go. I used to do that when I was a kid, and it was just never really effective. now I know guys, I know Robbie Denning has talked about it at times, and it's a great way to get good bucks that don't ever come out to be seen. It's just not what lights my fire at all. I love seeing something from a distance and then just trying to get in on it and make it dead.
It's kind of like the best chess match possible. It's like sitting up there trying to put together those pieces of the puzzle, like glass in that country. It's like like you said, where they take you. Like it's a poor man's sheep hunt.
Yeah,
You're at the top of the mountains. It's gorgeous every single day. You're waking up, having a cup of coffee. Like it's nothing better.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, for example, Washington State. Now, there's a place where you're not in the highest of elevations, so your openings are smaller. I never even needed more than a little 33 power spotter back in most places in Washington. It was pretty tight. But we would look for tracks a lot. A lot of those bucks are in and out of timber and walking ridges and looking in every saddle we can that made sense. And then, sitting back and trying to figure out where that track was going to be, what opening would we pick up that buck in. And we found a lot of great bucks over the years that initially started from just us seeing a mega track on a ridge or a saddle. Saddles are always a very telltale, going from one side to the other, feed zone to bed. And one of my best bucks came that way. It was like just a random spot covering country. I had looked at another area I was moving through, and I come up like a deer would through this saddle to get up to this other ridge. And that's where I laid eyes on this just giant track, huge track.
Like you were walking and you looked down and saw a big track, or did you glass it up?
No, it was in the dirt. There was no snow, nothing like that. It was just a huge track that was working the area. Like he had been there multiple times. Like he was in that space. And so at that point, it was get to the top and just come back and glass what I could see, day in and day out and day in and day out. And I ended up killing that thing at the very end of the trip. Like we were on the last day, we went out for our final session, and I had seen him one time prior to this. I'm making this story way too short, but I ended up killing that buck in the very last hour of our last day before we had to boogie down. And that all just came from locating one track that was so impressive that it kept me there.
Kept you focused in that one little area. Yeah.
And Washington has some absolute giant bodied deer. They're huge. They're monster bucks, literal 300-pound type bucks. They migrate a very long distance. Some of those bucks are moving, 30, 40 miles and through some real rugged type country. And so, yeah, they just get huge. They just get big. And so typically I would notice much bigger feet, much bigger prints on those deer anyway than a lot of, say, like the Montana bucks I'm chasing now or Nevada bucks. They just got bigger feet overall. But some of those things were like elk tracks. I mean, just giants. So.
Are there like specific areas you're keying in on? Are you trying to find places that are further away from people? You worried about people trying to get in deep, or what?
Yeah, I think that's always the number one strategy, is just trying to find those secluded places where bucks grow old and die. They just never get looked at. They get to that age and they just don't get seen by folks. And so it's mostly, working your way in, like everywhere, working your way in on a trail system or not, and then just putting a bunch of miles beyond that, separating from folks. But I had some places in Washington that someday I'll go back and look at, but never, ever, ever really worried about seeing another human or hiker or hunter. And they always had a bachelor group or two of decent bucks, and it was fun. It's just a good state for that.
Right.
But I think that the nastiness of the terrain and country just kept people closer to the trail systems.
What's the farthest you've been in? I feel like every time I see your videos, I'm like, my God, it looks like he's 30 miles in that shit. Furthest you've ever been in?
Furthest? Oh, like legitimately 20 miles.
No shit.
20 miles, and you can't really. You're going out at that point. You're going out the other side.
Okay. Yeah, so
you're just
miles. Working all the way through, and then had something parked on the other side or something.
No, what I mean is like you can get in. There's still a few places that you can hike in. 20 miles ish, and then you're coming back out the same way.
Okay.
But beyond that, and you're walking towards a road somewhere.
My God.
Not many places like that left, but no, it's a rare thing that you get past like 10 or 12, but
That's a long ways.
That's kind of the range, you know,
Yeah.
10, 12.
Every time I
15.
get that far out, I'm like, my gosh, I got to pack out a deer.
No wonder
Yeah,
you guys don't
country,
like
yeah.
elk hunting. You're going in fucking 20
Yeah.
miles. You can't carry an elk out. That'll take you a whole week.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that'd break your back.
I like my back. That's why I appreciate a mule deer. Even a big old buck, it gets pretty heavy, but you can still do it. Debone that sucker.
That's right.
You can one trip a mule deer out, but it hurts. It's
It hurts.
painful. Like
Right.
it's not good for you. But
Yeah.
you know, a lot of those big mature bucks, you know, you're scraping 100 pounds of meat off it. Now add the head, and if you're Brady, probably the hide, maybe.
Yep.
Likes those
Always
mounts.
got to have the hide.
Are you a skull capper? You just
I used
just
to skull cap a lot,
Hell
but then I
yes.
just Euro.
That's
Yeah.
Trail's motto. His motto is, I want to
Skull
make him a
cap.
shirt that says skull cap that fucker.
That's usually the first words out of my mouth as soon as we're done pulling all
yeah.
the meat off.
There you go.
You just want to pack that skull.
let's skull cap that. So we just cut the skull cap out and get out.
Yeah,
Unless
that's
it's-
what we did growing up. That's
Mhm.
what my dad had us do, just bring that little saw and skull cap it. But now I like those Euros. I
Yeah.
like the skull.
They are cool.
Getting them all bleached out and all that. So, yep, take that out. But yeah, your pack is going to be extremely heavy because you don't want to do that trip twice.
And that's when I
No
wish
doubt.
I did not carry the Hubble scope and
I can't
my
believe you
giant
carry
rifle.
that thing.
Dude,
I've
how does
seen
he
Brady-
walk around with that
I
thing?
don't know. I've seen his system, and he's really light down to the what is that, Neo Air?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Uber
8
light.
ounce,
Uber light, yeah.
Uber light. And then like he's shaved all this weight, and there's like not a half ounce in there that's, you know, not getting used for something important. And then he breaks out his spotter and his rifle,
Yeah.
and that's where all the weight is.
That's like 20 pounds right there.
That's
spotter
20
and rifle.
pounds.
Maybe a little more than that, actually, because 14-pound rifle
14-pound
and
rifle.
6.5, 7-pound spotter.
What
Gosh,
is your
that's
take on
impressive.
optics as far as what you take?
I don't know. I try to. That 65 mil is kind of my go-to.
Yeah.
95% of the hunts.
Like
It's
a
that.
Swaro?
The only time it gets bigger than that is like if we're down in Arizona or more open country.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Colorado in some places, you know, 85. But I don't do what Brady does. Brady's got the Hubble that
Yeah.
I love.
Hubble.
I
I
love
like that
look,
nickname.
looking
It's
through
fun to
it.
look
It's
through.
great.
Yeah.
We got some really good, you know, scope footage of it, of critters, of bears and things like that. But definitely am not one to want to pack that thing.
Yeah.
65 millimeter is
10s
about
on your
right.
chest or 12s or what do you like?
Go back and forth between 10s and 12s.
Mm-hmm.
Getting more blind with my old age, so 12s are kind
Amen.
of it for me.
Yeah, I've been wishing I had some SLC 15s and I sold them to buy a plane ticket to Alaska when I went moose hunting. And I've got an elk tag in some country that's just so big this year. And I've been scouting this summer and wishing I had those 15s back. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yep.
I might have to find another pair and throw her on the
I
old
got some
credit
for
card.
you. I forgot to bring you some. I have those Ice 15s you can use.
Yeah, I need them for sure.
Hmm.
What I was just gonna ask you. I mean, you're known. I think, at least I follow along with you. You take mature bucks most often. You've taken some great bucks. What do you think like the key is to finding that next age class? Because I think a lot of us go out there. We see basket 4-point buck, 140-inch buck, maybe 150-inch buck. But like, what's the key to finding that next level of maturity in a buck in your mind?
I think I can't really narrow it down to one thing. I think it's just your whole system, everything that you do, from having the right gear that you can comfortably pack around, keep on your back, and cruise country. The ability to go in far and deep is important. It's huge in finding big bucks. Probably one of the most important pieces to, I think, consistently taking mature animals as a whole is having the time to dedicate to being back there. Because if you haven't scouted and you have a buck, I don't get a whole lot of days to scout anymore. We're going in, just working our tail off and separating from other folks, and then just trying to find the best buck in that specific area. And what sets us apart, I think, is just having those 10 to 12 days to be able to do that, and then having the right gear, the right nutrition, feeling good on day 10 as you did on day 1. I try to eat real clean so that I'm never lacking for energy. My brain's never saying you want to go, but my body's and then checking out. I don't ever want that to be what keeps me from getting an animal. Opportunities on big bucks are like few and far between.
Yeah.
So it's not a great answer, but that I guess that is the answer.
No, that's a
It's
great
like
answer.
having the time to do it is probably huge. And you get that question a lot from a lot of guys in their 20s and maybe early 30s that maybe they're not in a place. I sure wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I never was able to take a 10 days when I was 20 years old and take time off work like that. I'm 48 now and have much more ability, much better ability to take that time off. And, having a wife that allows me to do that, she's very independent. We got young girls and she can handle anything that life throws while I'm gone at her, and she handles it great. If I didn't have just that, I can tell you I wouldn't take the bucks that I take for sure.
All right.
No doubt about it.
What does your food system look like then? Like, let's say a day's worth of food. What do you got?
Days worth of food.
Let's make that. Can we make it a two-part question? Because I thought about this too on the drive down. I'm interested in what you're eating like this time of year, as well as like what you're eating when you're in the field. And do those differ? Like, how do you prep for a hunt, and then what are you taking on your hunt to eat?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we'll start with this time of year. Like throughout the entire year, definitely try to eat clean. I'm married to a naturopathic doctor, so I am not allowed to eat junk food, even if I wanted to. Yeah, it just doesn't make it into the house. Now we're not like crazy Nazi about all sugars getting cut out or anything like that. We're not that, but we do try to definitely manage it to where we're eating clean throughout the year. Growing the garden, keeping out the sugars, the boxed foods, processed stuff as much as possible. Eating what we take in the fall and what we grow in the summers, things like that. Just trying to eat as clean as possible and not being crazy. We have kids, so we splurge and we do pizza every once in a while, but stuff like that. But just as clean as we feel is adequate to just not set us back.
So it's mostly just fruits, vegetables, meats. That's pretty much it.
Very basic, pretty boring.
Bread?
We spend a lot of time on the birch barrel or the Traeger.
Yeah.
We do a lot of meat and vegetables, and I'm good with that. I could eat that every day for the rest of my life.
There's a trend here, Trail. All us mule deer hunters, we eat the same thing pretty much the whole entire year. Very clean. You need to get on that life.
I'm not too bad. I've been doing pretty good.
You're good lately.
It's the pops that get you.
I do drink soda. Yeah, I drink diet soda. I know I shouldn't, but can't help it. It's that fizz.
Must be an elk guy.
That's what it is.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think beyond that, to the meals on the mountain, I think that is a great separator because I know my diet, like my food bag, my daily was pretty crappy. Like it would just be like, Snicker bar and sugary snacks, whatever. That was in my 20s. Fast forward to being married to a doctor who's uber clean and telling me all the wrongs with my life. Cleaned up the diet. I know, back in your 20s, you don't feel inflammation very much.
Man.
You just seems like you could get away with eating and whatever and maintain it. Then you hit a wall, and my wall was in my 30s, mid-30s. Then all of a sudden it's like, man, I'm not recovering like I used to. Come back from a 10-day trip, and you're sore for a week and a half. And so, I got it beaten into my head that your recovery is important, inflammation is important, eating the right foods to keep the inflammation from happening is important. So we started doing a lot less of those crappy sugars in our bags. Eating throughout the year is one thing, but then when you hit the mountain, not going to just cheap junk at the gas station type foods.
Yep.
So we make a lot of our own. For the longest time, I would just do simple breakfast, like build my own oatmeal, just add nuts, seeds, things like that, dehydrated berries, peanut butter powder, just kind of build my own breakfast. And then, that was okay, but it's not ideal because I do a lot of eggs and omelets and things like that the rest of the year. And so I ended up breaking down and getting a freeze dryer. And with the freeze dryer, now I can make omelets. I can make, you can have dairy, cheese. You can make this world-class omelet eat a little portion of it, throw the rest in the freeze dryer, freeze dry it, and now you come back and package it up, and that's what you're taking on your trip. So now my breakfasts are very similar to like a peak refuel scramble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this really good tasting omelet that you're going to make. And then the meals are the same. Use a lot of the meat from the prior year, building out spaghettis, lasagnas, stews. I love like bear meat in there, curry, quinoa curry dishes, and then just freeze dry them or dehydrate them. It's a much cheaper way to go is just grab a $250 dehydrator and build meals, you know,
Right.
to your heart's content. But there's advantages and disadvantages to both. I think the disadvantage to a freeze-dried meal or just owning a freeze dryer is the expense.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's expensive. But if you're a guy like Brady, you'd probably be a guy that would make sense because you're spending all those days on the hill. You spend 100 plus days on the mountain every year, it makes sense, and it's going to pay for itself. And you get to decide what you're eating. Now, there's great companies out there building good meals now, which is great. But there's something satisfying about building your own, like doing your own DIY snacks, making leathers. You know, we make this sweet potato / pear or banana fruit leather, and we add a little honey and cinnamon to it, and that's one of my favorite snacks up on the mountain. And it's super simple to make in just a dehydrator. And then I'd freeze dry a bunch of fruit, so anything from watermelon to honeydews to you know, any kind of apples, peaches, pears, berries, all that, and then just having these little snack bags of fruits
Gotcha.
put together, and that kind of stuff kind of makes up my daily.
You're
food bag.
essentially eating the exact same things, just
Yeah.
freeze dried
Mhm.
or just prepped for you on the
Yep.
mountain.
So it's lightweight, and you know, the nice thing about a freeze dryer, like I can build all my meals right now. Like I got a massive stockpile of freeze dried meals, and it lasts 25 years. You know, so I've got this mountain
That
of
is forever.
food. It's astronaut
Yeah.
food once you
Yeah.
freeze dry it. And yet, like if you do a dehydrator, which is much cheaper, you're only getting a year out of shelf life. And then after that, the nutrition kind of fades. And so there's pros and cons for sure.
I will say your breakfast skillet that you shared with me when we were bear hunting, it's really good.
Good stuff.
Like it is super good.
You eat a breakfast skillet every morning then on the mountain? Yeah.
Yep.
And all that fruit too.
Do you recommend people should eat breakfast? I'm not very good at eating breakfast.
I'm a big breakfast guy.
I usually eat. I need like till
I
like
don't know.
10. You know, I'm like a mid-morning like munch on something.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't a breakfast guy. I wish I didn't
I know
have
it's
to
kind
deal
of a
with that
pain in the ass.
breakfast,
I
but-
gotta wake up and boil water and all that.
Yeah. But
Are
I'm
you-
boiling it anyway for coffee, so I might as
Right.
well throw some in my.
So is your
freeze-dried
lunch a freeze-dried then meal too? Like what you'll have for lunch?
It's usually just snacks. Like usually the scramble in the morning, and then that meal at night, and then middle of the day it's just bars and bags of nuts and things like that.
Are you making your own bars then too, or are you?
Sometimes, yeah. We'll do like these, almost like a Heather's Choice packaroon. We'll just make our own macaroons and just add whatever we want, like coconut, honey, oat flour, and then just make those. It's real easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You
then
guys getting feedback?
fruit
There we
bags.
go.
You guys getting feedback in your headphones?
Mhm.
I got it. We got it out now. What's
Yeah.
your go-to? Like just you. So you always make your own bars? Do you ever bring any like?
Oh yeah.
Buy
no,
some? What's
we
like your
definitely
go-to?
buy perfect bars probably.
Perfect.
Yeah. I like, all the nut butters and things like that. I see Brady does a lot of those as well. Those F-bomb ones are great.
F-bomb ones are super
Yeah,
good.
there's-
Macadamia. Oof.
Macadamia is a good one. There's so many companies out there now that are making like a good clean almond butter with cinnamon or whatever.
So
That stuff's hard
what's
to
like
beat.
an important? I'm very interested in this like
Mhm.
food stuff because I'm always like digging in my food because I totally agree with you. Like you can totally feel a lot better, hunt harder, be more focused. What's like an ingredient? Let's say you look on the back of a bar that you buy. Like what are some 2 ingredients or 2 nutrient facts that you want to look at and be aware of?
Sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah, I think that's it for me, sugar. And I'm not one to go hog wild on protein either in the mountains. I think it does more harm than good sometimes. I think there's this happy medium of, there's a line you don't want to cross when it comes to too much protein. I mean, how many times have you guys been hunting with somebody that's just been chugging down the protein and their guts explode, and you're paying the price.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Neville.
Yeah, it is.
Neville's your guy.
No.
Protein to the max.
Yeah, I think my carb intake. I try to do a little bit cleaner carb, but I'm definitely doing more carbs on my hunts, and then a lot more fats. I add a lot of coconut oil to my meals, so that's one thing. Like on those freeze dried or dehydrated, those little you could do olive oil, but coconut packets, like an ounce of that, and then you just added another 240 calories by adding that one little packet of coconut oil. Just put it on your meal, or just eat it as is. So a lot more fats on the mountain for sure. Coconut.
You're about MCT
nuts.
oil or just olive oil and
Yep.
drink it?
The MCT oil, do you add it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't added MCT oil.
Yeah,
to
I
my
used to do
meals
that a little
yet.
bit when I was trying to do that like stoveless method before.
What's MCT oil?
Medium chain triglyceride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was going to
it's-
ask you on any other kind of supplements?
Mhm.
Are you taking bags of supplements
Yep.
with you, or are you doing it now as well?
Yep. And my wife got me on that train as well. It was one of those.
We're gonna have to have his wife on this.
I know
Yeah.
you should. You really should. She'd be a much
Give
better.
me some
Great and all,
pills.
but-
She'd be a much better podcast.
Give me
than I.
anything that I can have that makes me hunt harder and be more focused. I'll take it.
No, I've leaned on my wife a lot for the good information, the important information. But yeah, supplements wise, I really focus on everything recovery and keeping my inflammation down. Like I don't want an overuse injury. I mean, what a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want, your joints to swell up and have overuse injuries that set you back for a while. So I do a lot of turmeric, number one. So I do that every day. I do a lot of krill oil. I'm one of those hippies that eats a lot of CBD. Like I eat CBD every day. And I double it when I go on a hunt. So I'm doing like 50 milligrams most of the year, every day. And then during a hunt, I bump that up to 100 milligrams. So I'm doing a lot of CBD. And it really does help with recovery, keeping the inflammation down. So, I'll be completely honest, believe it or not, but I don't get sore ever off these hunts, ever.
Oh shit.
Like we can crush a pack out.
I'm bought in already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Say no more. That's what I'm saying.
Because I've
Give
been
me some of
so
that.
sore.
And I think a lot of that is, and I'm not just going to attribute that to supplements you take during
Sure.
a hunt.
Right.
It's the stuff throughout the year. But cleaning out those foods that are real highly inflammatory, with the exception of coffee, because I'm never killing that habit. But the sugars especially, and taking, I think that comboed with the supplements that I take really helps out. So a probiotic, a turmeric, krill oil, CBD. Those are the ones that I take every day.
And then that probably allows you to go back-to-back hunts without having you're not going to be
Yep.
sore, and the next hunt you still start fresh again.
Yeah, never have that anymore. But boy, I tell you what, in my 30s, I sure did.
Yeah.
Like it was getting to the point where, end of November came around and I was like licking my wounds throughout December, just trying to recover and get my legs back underneath
These guys
me.
think I'm crazy, but I keep telling them, like, the older I've gotten, the more sensitive I am to, like, what I eat.
Mhm.
I mean, I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted,
Same.
anything. But the older I've gotten, like, if I eat poorly, like, I pay for it the
Yeah.
next day for sure. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was the year I turned 38 that it really set in.
Me too. About the
Yeah.
same age. I'd say like 37, 38.
Yeah.
In like the last, 5 years, I guess.
Yeah.
I can definitely feel the difference.
That's
with
the
my
year that
diet.
you realize you're not invincible.
Yeah.
This stuff's going to catch up to you.
Look at that, Neville. You got a lot of years to look forward to.
Well,
You're
I'm
golden.
already ahead of it, dude. I'm already thinking about it.
You're
I'm
gonna-
28.
You're going to pack
I'm
my
already
elk
worried
out,
about
so-
how food makes me feel and all
you
that
could
shit.
be Superman, because if you were doing this at 28, most people it takes forever to figure out. And, I had the help of my wife, or I'd probably be suffering right now. But if you started doing this, like cleaning up your diet, and then these sups and things like that, you'd be just that far,
Yeah.
more ahead of the game.
Yep.
You
I'm
get
on
this
it.
compounded effect of having done it all those years.
I'm on that
Yeah.
train right now.
Nice.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna try it.
what's scarier than getting an overuse injury that, like a bum knee or a hip or something,
Right.
from just using it through the inflammation, trying to fight through when, you're not recovered. And, like you said, these back-to-back hunts that we do now, if you weren't staying ahead of it, you're going to pay the price. I don't know if you're going to be hunting until you're 70
Right.
if
yeah.
you don't do something different.
Yeah, that's the big thing I think about too is like, I want to hunt and do these things for as long as possible.
Yeah.
That's why I've been doing like yoga and shit lately.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to stretch. I'm not flexible at all.
Yeah.
So I've been like in the morning, I try to do like 30 minutes of yoga. Just watch some YouTube videos, try to limber up.
Yep.
Hopefully that helps me out a little bit.
I think it'll really help your, like if you're bow hunting, stalking in on a muley or something like that. When you have you have to move the slowest snail's pace for a long period of time. You know how you're just completely spent and wiped out? Like there's no workout that crushes you more than try to go, like 15 or 50 yards in like 2 hours. You're tensed up the entire time. That's what I feel like, where I feel like yoga would be like probably really beneficial.
For sure.
But I watch my wife do it every day. I'm just
Drinking coffee, watching.
drinking coffee. Exactly. Yep.
So a lot of these spots, going back to like you're going in, you're going in far, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a spot picked out, and like, are you ever worried? What do you do if you get there and you're not seeing deer?
Oh, you always have backup plans for sure. Yep. I mean, there's definitely areas that we kind of expect to go into and find, bucks that historically we've always found them. But you can, these days, I mean, it's public land. You can never count on somebody not being there. You can never count on things being the same. Wolfpack moves in, everything's blown out. You better have some backups or you're just setting yourself up for a big fail. So, having a hunt plan where if option A isn't going as planned, they're not there, there's somebody camped there, you go straight to B, immediately. Don't even think about it. Don't pull up the maps at that point and say, all right, gosh dang it, I got to find a spot to go. You're like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Are there specific terrain features you're looking for, like when you're doing your e-scouting or anything, finding these spots?
Yeah, I mean, just, very similar to, I think, probably what Brady does. You'll hear Livis say, I think you guys have had him on a podcast, when you're doing all your e-scouting, a lot of the things that I'm not necessarily looking for features that where I think deer will be, but I'm checking all the access points. I'm checking out all the roads. I'm looking at those areas in between those positions that are going to be difficult. The people aren't willing to go to. Those places excite me more than looking for a water source or a feed area or something like that. But really just trying to pinpoint where all those access points are or where people may be coming from and avoiding those altogether and finding that little spot in between there that just makes the most sense, where your worry about running into somebody is very slight.
I feel like that's different for elk and mule deer. So like elk, I definitely think you can look for certain attributes, based on feed, cover, water.
100%.
And you can pick those out on a map for an elk. Whereas a mule deer, you can really find them from
everywhere.
I feel like they're way more susceptible to, just like you're saying, to hunting pressure than maybe they are drawn to like a piece of feed or water. Because they can go without water for 3 days, and they can make a trek down to a water source, or they can get it from vegetation. Elk, they just seem to be so much more, reliant on one, a certain type of habitat feature.
Libase was just in here yesterday telling me he read some study. You were on that podcast.
Yep. No.
Where he said mule deer won't move that far from hunting pressure. They'll just find like little nooks to hide from, whereas elk will clear country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the biggest bucks I've ever killed.
What does that tell
way.
you? Mule deer are just so smart.
They're the
They are.
fairer species. Man.
They are
They
smart.
don't have to spend that energy. They just
work
hunker
around
down
people.
and
Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you nailed it, Trail. That's very, I think, true. Is you can get on your maps and do your e-scouting and just have all these features that you're looking for when it comes to elk, and really get a good plan together. Like, it's got these 5 different things that I'm looking for. There's going to be elk here.
Yep.
Mule deer, it really is. When folks ask, it's like the only thing I can answer that with is just looking for areas where I'm going to avoid folks, because you could literally, like Brady said, you can find them almost anywhere.
It's a hard thing to narrow down. Like when you were trying to answer your question, I'm just thinking about myself, and it's like, I don't know if I'm not a very good teacher or explainer, but like it is difficult to explain what you're really looking for, besides for just banking on experience and kind of knowing, like you said, those little pockets, pockets here and there, hold animals.
Yeah.
You get the same exact mountain range, like 2 different ones, and one will have deer, and one just won't have deer.
Right.
You could have all the same habitat features, all the same ridge lines, all the same slope, all that, same facing mountain, but just doesn't have deer.
Yep.
Just those little core areas.
Where it may be different more easily, you could easily explain it, would be like, say you're hunting like a migration area. Now that you could definitely on a map, figure out, okay, there's this massive area. There's these main ridges running down towards the winter range. And there's going to be areas amongst that section where they're traveling that they're probably going to hold up. Those you can probably key into much better. And we do some of those late season hunts, those mid to late October and then well through November, trying to figure out, how high we need to be and if the snow's here, where they're going to be, things like that. But yeah,
I think that's a good tip. Look for those pockets. You have to have some feed, but a mule deer can, they can get by.
Yeah, it's one thing that never even enters my head now is water from mule deer.
Yeah.
Now Nevada is different, I think, but like Washington, Idaho, Montana, water is never in the equation. Like it's never like, oh, there's water there. There's probably going to be deer there. There's kind of water everywhere.
Yeah.
In the Rockies.
And even some areas like you look at, that western range of Wyoming, G&H. I mean, there's not a lot of water in the upper ends of those where some of those bucks are at. But they're.
I swear they don't even drink.
I don't either.
They're just getting it through the moisture and the feed. Those mornings and.
Yeah, if they've got some dew or some grass, and they can pull enough moisture, it seems.
Again, that's why I love reading those biology reports.
Yeah.
Animal studies, what they need, what they don't need.
Yep. No, and I agree with what Mark said. I mean, some of the biggest bucks I've ever killed have all been just in a tiny. I mean, I've either had a trail camera picture or I've glassed them up one time, and ultimately ended up killing that buck within a half mile of that spot. And I've hunted for weeks on end, and never been able to find that deer, even though he's here somewhere. So I've always said that too. I think the bigger bucks hold a tighter home range.
I even missed a buck one year with my bow and killed him in the same basin 2 days later. He never left. Yeah. Same spot, just hung out there. That's his home.
I mean, if you think about a mule deer, they're so susceptible to predation, right? So you have mountain lions. If a deer widens its home range, you're essentially opening yourself up to more likely encounter with a predator, right? Whereas if you hold a tight home range and that thing inside and out, how to use it, where the hunting pressure comes from, you can potentially prolong your life. That's what I've always thought.
It's like it's like your house, how you live in your house. All the exit points.
Especially me. That's why I'm going to be an old buck, because I just live right there in my house and I never leave.
You don't want to put yourself in danger driving around.
That's it.
Yeah, I had a buck one time. I was actually in this state, Nevada, and it gave me the slip. Wind changed. It busted out on me, and I was coming down on it. And I stayed in that area. It was the buck I wanted. It was him or nothing. And 6 days later, that buck came out of nowhere. He didn't go far. Like I'd move over, I'd glass the adjacent drainage, go back over the other side, glass it. Ended up always coming back to the middle where I'd seen that buck. And on that 6th day, I was up there glassing, and that bugger, he hadn't gone far. He just stayed tucked away.
Yeah.
And he came right back and put himself right back into the same bed that he was in when I was stalking him the first time.
Yeah.
And there he was.
Yeah.
I ended up getting him. Great big buck.
I think early season they know those beds. They know, they know the air currents. They know, where they can see. I mean, they get used to them. It just makes sense. If they've got their needs met. And
they're just a much higher life form than an elk is.
Which tastes better though?
Yeah.
Oh, I think if you do it right, mule deer are pretty good.
Everyone always says they don't taste good. It's like I never
said they don't taste
good. They do
good.
taste good.
I
They
know,
just
but
don't taste as
I
good as
get
an
that
elk.
feedback a lot. Do you actually eat all those deer? It's like, yeah, I love every single one of them.
Elk just tastes better.
They do taste
I have
better.
elk in my freezer, and I will say that some of the mule deer I make is better than what the elk
Now
is.
you know Brady's
Would
a
you
liar.
say bear is the best?
Bears ranks way up there.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten a lot of bear.
No.
Every once in a while, I want some bear fat from Brady. He did that,
Mm-hmm.
melted down a bunch of fat.
Yeah.
I got some jars. I got a lot of extra jars. I even made I made a bunch of small jar ones. Those are the ones I gift. I don't want to give them, the big jars.
Pint jar.
So you just cook with bear fat instead of like olive oil or other stuff? Just bear fat?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an easy way to go for sure. Yep.
That's why I want to get a fall bear.
Yeah.
I always see small fall bears. I never see it get the big giant ones.
Those giants tuck away.
They
you
do.
know, even in the huckleberries, when the huckleberries keep getting more elevated on the hill, more elevated, inevitably it gets to the top and everything opens up. Those huckleberry fields up on the top. I swear, the smalls and mediums all come up. The big ones just stay down. Really? They stay focused on something else. I mean, I've seen them in choke cherries, but it is pretty rare to see a mega up in like the top
Yeah.
huckleberry field. But that's fine because those mediums kick out a lot of fat. Like you can get a ton of mason jars of.
That's the bad thing about these kind of podcasts is we get, guys like yourself that like, talk hunting and we want to pick your brain. And then we get like 50 minutes or an hour,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
man, I could pick these guys' brains forever.
It just rolls off so natural too. Like I just enjoy having conversations with people I want to talk to.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I don't enjoy talking to you.
You don't
guys
like
all the
talking to me?
time. Yeah. I see you every day though, Neville.
Ryan likes talking to me since I have to sit there and tell him Black Friday's still going on right now.
Oh, man. That was rough.
That was rough. Oh, but there's something we can talk a little about. Sthealthy Hunter, some of the products that you guys that he came out with.
Yeah.
That we were just looking at those in the gear shop.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just recently came out with that glassing pad, right?
Yep. It's been out for a little bit. But, yeah, we just got them in the gear shop.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are the pieces of gear for you that are like difference makers?
Difference makers? Man.
Or like just some pieces that you really like? I mean, obviously, we have the rifle covers, scope covers that you make, which have been great.
Yeah.
Are there pieces of your kit when you build that out that, do you feel like make a difference for you?
Mm. Yeah, I think the whole kit. I think I just like everything about all the gear that I'm running, like all of us. We've all probably dialed it in we feel like it's the best it could be every year.
Do you tinker a lot with your setups, or do you pretty much take the same stuff year in and year out?
Some I tinker with, some is like just rock solid. Backpack, I've been running the same pack for quite a few years. I'm running that big old 7900 Sky Guide from Stone Glacier. I don't know how you I don't know how you upgrade from that pack. It just fits me so well.
Yeah.
It just does everything I ask, everything I need. So that's a rock solid. It's kind of a staple. I don't see that changing.
Do you run that on the X-Curve frame or the Crux?
X-Curve.
X-Curve.
Yep. Yep. That thing just fits me like a glove, and doesn't slip off my back. I don't feel myself having to pop it back up on my shoulders, which I had problems with certain other hip belts on different packs. But that X-Curve, something about it just sticks.
Yeah.
And so I don't have those issues. It carries weight really well, and it's got the size. Some people might think a 7900 is overkill, but boy, 10, 12-day hunts with the amount of food that you bring in on those trips, it's a time. It takes up space, tons of space, and there's 2 pounds of food. You're looking at 22 pounds of food for a 10-day trip. And yeah, you just you end up using it all. And, we pack rafts and oars and things like that to get separated from others as well. So I think that 7900 is just perfect for what we do.
What's your approach on knives? What do you use? I'm curious.
Man, Travis Nowotny, his goat knives. I've been using those for the last few years.
Do you like a replaceable blade knife?
I do. Yeah, I use it at the time of the kill, It's real handy breaking it down. So used that Ibex this year on the spring hunt. Prior to that, I was running that, what's the other?
Capra Hunter TI.
Capra Hunter TI. Yep, I was using that. I like the little bits it comes with in case something fails, whether you're a rifle hunter, bow hunter, having those little bits on there and tools is pretty cool. And then that nitro tour around the neck. That thing is, I'd have it on right now if I hadn't flown down here.
They didn't confiscate it at TSA?
Yeah, I was very careful to remember to take it off because it's just always on my neck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to fly with something like that.
No.
Last time Brady and I took a flight, we had a guy with a handgun.
Right in front of us.
Right in front of us
Dang.
in his pack.
Totally forgot about it.
Yeah,
Yep.
loaded.
It was loaded too. It was one in the chamber.
What?
Yeah.
Where were you guys flying to?
He was on Kansas on that bird hunt.
Just had a handgun.
He's like, I must have just randomly forgotten. Their GSA guys were all over him. Like, buddy, you're going to a back room with us right
Dude,
now.
he was sweating.
Yeah, he wasn't even talking to me. He like started grabbing my stuff. I was like, no, that's my stuff. He was all just confused. He was like so nervous.
Jeez.
Seemed
He's
like a good dude.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was doing anything bad, but just totally forgot. Must have went to the range the day before or whatever he did.
Gosh, dang.
That's
What
a stinger.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think gear-wise, after the pack, everything, sleep system is all dialed, I would never run what Brady runs. I don't know how he gets away with that super Uber light or whatever it is. I'm running the X Lite, but what is it, about
Pound?
another pound.
Yeah,
So
the
thing-
Uber
the
Light
yellow
is
one?
17 ounces.
The thing
I
is,
think.
real Ryan, if you ain't living life on the edge, you ain't really living.
Is that a Ricky
Oh.
Bobby quote?
Maybe.
Something. It's
I don't know.
close.
It's
I don't know if
it's
that
something
counts.
smart.
I don't know if
Crazy,
that, I don't
man.
know if that
You're
translates.
crazy.
Well, it was funny. Like, we did this hunt, and he pulled that out, and it was like 8 ounces, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And Pedro had one as well. And so we were all taking bets on, like, is it going to pop or is it not going to pop? And we were leaning pretty heavy on Pedro. And Pedro's did pop.
His did pop.
But he was getting
Devil's
crazy. I don't know what he was doing in there, bouncing around,
I mean,
watching
they're watching all those
movies.
movies all night.
He's like, he was watching
Perfect.
Pitch
or-
Perfect and singing and dancing, and he blew that pad out real fast.
That's the problem with those full of shelters. You got so much room to move around
Yeah.
at night.
It's
Yeah,
trouble.
too much room. But yeah, no, I don't skimp there for sure. But bag running that Chilkoot
Mm-hmm.
Stone Glacier
0 degree or 15?
15. Yeah,
Yep.
15 is. I don't know that I'll ever run a 0 because that time of year I've always got a set of puff gear. I've always got the pants. I've always got the jacket.
Pants then too.
Yeah,
You like the puffy pants?
absolutely.
Man,
yeah.
aren't they the best?
If you're glassing in November,
Yeah.
man, I don't know how I did it back in the day without the pants.
Isn't that crazy?
It just got cold, and I don't think you glassed as long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'll stay here all day.
Yeah.
But if you sleep in that with your puffy jacket within the 15 degree, I mean, I don't know the rating at
Yeah,
that point, but
right.
there's no need for a 0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're just packing extra ounces.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I use the same exact sleeping bag. I just wrote a little thing for that article talking
Yeah.
about, like, if you're looking for one sleeping bag to almost do any hunt from early season to late season, that 15 degree.
Yeah.
And I did the same exact thing. Just put your puffies on, and late
Yep.
season you'll be just fine.
There's some people that say it's not smart, but it's like you already have that gear.
You're already carrying it
You're
with
already
you.
carrying all those insulation layers. It's like you're wearing a sleeping bag.
So
at
then
that
you're going to
point.
go to sleep in your 0, and you're going to take off your puffy pants and jacket.
Yep.
And now it's just sitting there
Sitting
when
there.
that could be your system.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Save you some weight.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
they're roomy. Those Chilkoots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God,
Oh yeah.
so
They're
roomy.
great. Yep.
Love those things.
For tall guys too.
Yeah,
They're
tall
not-
guys with
not
big
too short.
shoulders.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people, or active sleepers.
Yeah.
If you're a guy that likes to roll around a lot at night, that's a great bag for you because it does have a lot of room.
Yep. Yep. Shelters. I mean, gosh, shelters. It's hard not to go with the classic teepee style floorless.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of been the go-to.
You take a ground cloth,
Yeah.
like a
Yep.
piece of Tyvek, or
It's similar to Tyvek. It's Seek Outside has that
Yep.
little, very comparable to a Tyvek sheet.
mat.
Yep, it's
Mhm.
like a mat. But no punctures through that. I've used that thing for years.
Yep.
Had a mouse chew through it this year.
Hmm.
Yep.
Better,
Damn
better that
mouse.
than your pad.
It was on our bear hunt. Yeah,
Damn mouse.
chewed right up through it. He didn't get my pad, but put a hole right through my ground tarp. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, we appreciate the time. I know we could probably sit here for another hour and a half, 2 hours, and just shoot
know,
the bull,
right?
talk mule deer hunting and hunting in
Mhm.
general. I'm excited for your trip to Alaska.
Yeah, me too. Yep. It's
You
gonna
gonna
be
try
fun.
to try to film that?
Yep, we're filming that one. Yeah, we're gonna spend a lot of days up there. So giving up a lot of elk season to go chase
Yeah.
caribou. And
It's
this.
worth it
It's
once.
That's totally all right. You can get
That's
up
all
there.
right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
It's okay.
Yeah, you might really fall in love and move up there again.
Yeah, I know. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I figured eventually some year I would draw a moose tag, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, it's just lost cause at this point.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We appreciate the time.
Yep.
Yeah, thank
for
you.
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
me, guys.